we have news that's just newsy enough, or really rumor enough to talk about. It's Mass Effect. It's the Mass Effect TV show. Let's get into it. Okay, so I discovered this from the tweet by We Are Mass Effect here. This is a Twitter account, website, all kind of feeds account that is doing the Mass Effect news thing and all that. So go give them a follow if you want to also keep up with this stuff. And it breaks down a bit of a leak, it seems like, of the casting calls for the next the Mass Effect TV show for Amazon. This comes from Daniel Richtman, is the original source. This is from a Patreon, so if you want to go support them, please do that. Look them up. It's saying that these are 5 of the casts that are currently being looked for. A male 30 to 39, that's like a young Colin Farrell. This is almost certainly a Shepard. A female co-lead, 34 to 39, so probably a hair older. That's an alien with prosthetics required. Almost certainly going to be a Liara. This is the really interesting one. Female 30 to 49. Human Earth parallel narrative. So I saw a lot of people jump right to, oh, this is probably FemShep, and they're going to find some way to do. I would almost guess this will probably be an original character, is my guess. It wouldn't probably even be like an Ashley or something. My guess is that this would be a new character that would be giving us the perspective of the story on Earth. And that gives me some ideas that may be maybe a bit out there. A male villain lead, 40 to 60, Doug Jones type. If you don't know who Doug Jones is, he's played creatures in a lot of movies and TV shows. The Shape of Water, Pan's Labyrinth, I believe he was the goat thing. Shape of Water, he was the sea creature. He's been in Hellboy. I'm looking at his thing here. So that to me would almost certainly say this is probably for Saren. We had the leaks not too long ago that they're probably going to retell Mass Effect 1 with the first season, and that's what we're going to have potentially here. And then a male 30 to 49 wrestler type soldier. My initial thought when I saw this was, man, that sure sounds like James. But I doubt that they would do Mass Effect 3 right off the bat. The Mass Effect 1 thing makes way more sense. So the female 30 to 49 human Earth parallel narrative and wrestler type soldier, I'm willing to bet these are just going to be new characters. I think that we shouldn't assume that even if they're going to retell Mass Effect 1 in some capacity, that they're just going to do it exactly the same. They're likely going to have a little bit of leeway. This whole thing with this parallel Earth narrative makes a ton of sense because they're for a TV show. I don't know if they could fully just do the story from the ship following Shepard and to tell the whole thing. I've been watching The Expanse lately, and that's a big one where, through the first couple of seasons, they're, following these people who survive these multiple blown up ships and they're supposed to be dead, and they're discovering this plot. But we're also seeing stories, subplots on Earth or on, other planets, kind of the political thing happening in the background. That is almost certainly, I think, what's going to happen here. Just to point out, there's only one article about this right now that's out there, and they kind of did the same thing I'm doing here. So they said that the 5 main video game characters of the Prime Video's Mass Effect show. There we go. Commander Shepard, that young Colin Farrell. I mean, come on, this seems obvious. The Liara casting, I think, seems pretty obvious as well. I don't agree with the female Shepard. On here, they allude to this maybe being a thing where they would tell the story of them somehow being 2 Shepards. I don't think so. I think this would end up being a brand new character that they could kind of originally bring into the show from the show writers and runners that they could do themselves, obviously with the permission of BioWare. Spectre Saren, I think that Doug Jones-like actor, they note it in here. That almost certainly would be Saren. And then they said that this wrestler type physicality would be Garrus. Maybe. I'm not sure about that. I don't think that's a guarantee, but it's maybe not. I mean, it could be Rex. You know, if it's going to be an existing character, Rex would almost make more sense, in my opinion. I think what's going to be interesting is how they handle this because, you know, a lot of these characters are going to need to be animated. So it's a live action show, which I personally wish they weren't doing. I wish this was, you know, either computer animated or more of like a kind of a, uh, I don't know. The Witcher I think had an animated thing, like a cyberpunk, you know, that animated show, something along those lines. Maybe there's even a soundtrack on the BioWare official YouTube channel that has all of the trilogy characters in like a kind of somewhat anime or animated style, and it looks so good. But they're not doing that. But with characters like Garrus, it wouldn't surprise me if they cast Keener to do his voice. It's so iconic. Even for characters like Rex and stuff, like I certainly hope this isn't implying that Rex is going to be live action. I mean, how would you, you know, that doesn't make sense. To do that practically would be insane. Maybe they will. But then you have something like Liara, or even if they have Tally or other Quarians in the game, you know, those characters could probably be, you know, actually played by real humans, just in prosthetics and things like that. Um, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people really worried about this and how they handle it, whether it should tell, you know, the Mass Effect 1 story or like a spin-off story. I, of course, love the way that Fallout, the TV show did it, where their story is kind of running parallel or it's at least connected to things we know from the game, even characters and stuff like that. But it does tell a new story for new characters and new situations, right? I don't think Mass Effect is as established as Fallout, and I don't think that, you know, sometimes I think we believe that Mass Effect is more fleshed out than it really is. So much of the timeline of Mass Effect kind of makes no sense. So many of the events we just have little snippets of. There's so much about the lore and the story of Mass Effect that there's just kind of less there to work with than, say, a series like Fallout, at least in my opinion. So I'm more open to this. I just want them to put it out and it be good. And then I hate that, you know, the showrunner who I can't remember their name off the top of my head has like hidden all their social media. That kind of makes me wonder if maybe this is a legit leak and that's why they disappeared, so they don't have to deal with any fallout from that. At the end of the day, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it many more times over the next few years. If you want BioWare to continue, if you want more Mass Effect games in the future, you're going to have to acknowledge that they need to build that brand back up and that studio back up. A big issue with Dragon Age of the Veilguard is a lot of people didn't even know what Dragon Age was anymore. It'd been a decade since that game came out, and it's almost certainly going to be a decade between Andromeda and the next Mass Effect, let alone it's going to be, you know, 15 plus years since Mass Effect 3. So they need to build that brand up. This TV show and other things they're almost certainly going to do between now and the next game coming are going to be essential to that. Maybe the diehard OGs don't love all the decisions they make, what the TV show's about, all of that stuff. But whether it works or not, I suspect that all of this is a grand plan to try to make BioWare and Mass Effect relevant again so that the next game doesn't tank the way that the last Dragon Age game did and put it into gaming purgatory, at least for the near future. If you want more Mass Effect news, speculation, all of that stuff, subscribe to the channel. If you want gaming news and stuff as well, I try to cover everything. Hit that like button so other people see them too. And if you want to support what I'm doing here, consider becoming a YouTube member. You can also see the other content I'm making, like podcasts and such, and other ways to support at the links in the description of the video. That is all I have for this one. So until next time.